Hey, it's Juan. Welcome to the April edition of your VMA SITREP. I'm here with a very special guest and key member of the VMA leadership team, Lieutenant Colonel Court Van Zandt. And you're going to learn more about his journey in just a second. But I want to give you some context. We're here at Teddy Roosevelt Island, just across the highway from our Roslyn office. And I want to start by asking everyone, if you haven't, the very next blurb down in this issue has got a link to the VMA self-ID survey. If you haven't done it, or you did it 2 years ago since the update, please take the 5 seconds it takes to complete. This data is really, really important, not only for RFPs that support veterans across the country, but for internally within the firm, so we can drive engagement support for our veteran brothers and sisters, military spouses, and all our allies. You'll see there's a couple extra granularity questions added, including branch of service, reserve status, etc. That's really, really helpful. Okay, Court Van Zandt is a senior manager. He's aligned to the Deloitte office. He's recently moved down to South Carolina. He is a key leader on the Clear site. Central site, which is a vital tool, proprietary tool.
It is.
That we make available to our DoD customers, and it's very popular and well regarded. Court's got a very interesting role, but an interesting journey, and I want to share a little bit about it with you. Court, you moved around a little bit, went to college in Virginia.
In
Virginia,
that's right.
And you were on your way to
college.
Hampton City College. Go Tigers. You were on your way to law school.
I was.
And then your senior year, you watched the towers come in.
I remember it clearly, yeah. A lot of people do that were alive and heading into the next chapter of their lives in that period, and many of us who chose to serve chose that day to serve. That was similar to me. It was an existential pivot point, moving from law school and the plan I intended to follow to one that I felt called to follow, and fortunate enough at the time to have the ability, the leadership background from playing sports and student government in college to academic record, and being able to be physically fit enough to try out and earn a spot at officer candidate school for the U.S. Army, which is where I went after I graduated from Hampton-Sydney College in 2002.
Now, you watch the towers come down, and this is, so much of this history is so personal for all of us. 3 years later, you're off the street and in the desert.
Yeah, leading soldiers in combat in Iraq. We were there from November of 2005 until November of 2006, and unfortunately, in that year-long deployment, 21 of our brothers did not come home with us, who laid down their lives in the sands of Iraq, just south of Baghdad in the Sunni Triangle. It became famous later on in the surge and other combat operations. But we were there with the 4th Infantry Division, a proud unit, and definitely proud to have had that time in service, and also to have seen the hardships that our men and women faced, which is what places in me such a passion for serving now. Active members of the Guard and Reserve in my leadership position on the Central Site portfolio within Deloitte.
Now, Court, you at some point after that deployment, you've got a young family, way out of your league bride,
yeah.
And you transitioned reserves, but you continue to serve. In fact, you're a lieutenant colonel this weekend you'll go away for 2 weeks active duty.
That's right, Juan. So I have continued to serve, and it's a privilege to be able to do that. I had another set of experiences prior to Deloitte. I worked with Accenture for a period of time. I worked with Boston Consulting Group for a period of time, always within strategy and operations, focusing on logistics and supply chain and enterprise strategies to enable the outcomes that the leaders expected that we served. And that's continuing with Deloitte. The difference with Deloitte is that we have an incredible capability with Central Site to do that, a commercial purpose-built intelligence and insights engine. We have an extraordinary team with our collaborative green dot solutions that bring together unparalleled impact in the marketplace. And then as a reservist, we can still have people on those teams that have credibility in front of the client, working with senior leaders like yourself who serve in uniform and others who are still in active status, and sit in front of them with this uniform on, having just worn the uniform of our nation. And I think that gives us a deep level of credibility. And then Deloitte stands behind that in the way that we support our Guard and our reserve population by allowing us, me included, in the next 2 weeks I'll be on an exercise supporting active duty service members in my reserve capacity for 2 weeks. That's extraordinary, and my leadership is supportive. I know our CEO and our senior most leaders within the firm are supportive, and I just carry a message of gratitude And I'm fortunate enough to be on your team, Juan, to help that gratitude translate into support for our junior members, and even those that are peers of mine and yours who are still navigating their active duty commitments alongside a demanding professional career.
Well, that background as a still serving senior officer is part of what's made you such a valuable member of our VMA leadership team, and that you have become the SME, the central interaction point with Deloitte talent in honoring something we're all very proud of, and that's Deloitte's commitment that when our reservists and Guard members are mobilized or activated, we make a commitment that exceeds the USERA requirement to make they and their families whole during that period. Now, it winds up being a little bit more complicated than it sounds, and that's where you come in. Tell us about that.
We have a phenomenal team that we've built over time, and we're standing here in front of the statue of Teddy Roosevelt. I think a shared inspiration to both of us. Me for his military Army background, perhaps you for his military Navy background. And I think that passion for service transcends generations, and we have it across the entire workforce. And it doesn't just come on the part of people that are still in uniform or serving in active Guard capacity. Our talent team, these are passionate people. They know their areas of expertise. They are extraordinarily supportive of our active Guard and reserve population. And I feel like my job in that is to lead our team that helps pull together the right subject matter experts from the legal team, compliance team, talent, and also business unit leaders to make decisions and adjudicate sticky situations on behalf of our service members that often are asked to support short notice deployments.
Right.
Or annual requirements that can change from year to year or change as they progress through their careers. And I can't say enough about the quality of your leadership and the team we've been able to build to make that happen for our people. And I think the main message today is just the sincerity with which we all approach every one of those cases.
Now, we have a newly updated reservist handbook hanging on the DEI VMA website, available to all. But for those sticky situations that inevitably come up, right? Each of the services mobilizes their folks differently. All 50 states mobilize their Guard members a little bit differently. You've graciously made yourself available to help navigate those folks through the process.
Happy to do it. We've, I think at this point, have a near perfect record of success in terms of getting the resolution that service member deserves and expects, and also obviously meeting Deloitte compliance and policies as they're written. And in some cases, look, if you're one of those people that are in a tough situation and you feel as though there is a gap between what you have been expected to do and perform in fulfillment of your duties with what you're being expected to do and perform in your Deloitte roles, reach out. I mean, I am that point of contact. Juan is always in CC on those. We get him involved where we need to, but there are still gaps, and I'm aware of that. And I think, again, one of the big reasons why we're so passionate about helping Deloitte fulfill its commitment above and beyond what it's required to do, so we are the #1 employer of choice for Guard and service members, because it translates directly to the business value propositions that we're able to fulfill, both on the GPS and commercial side.
Perfect. Court, thanks for your leadership on the team. Tell me why Teddy Roosevelt is such an Army icon.
Oh, he's a Rough Rider. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. He helped lead some of our campaigns early in his career, and then has always been a stalwart supporter. And we're sitting here in a very active place in our nation's capital, and you can hear planes flying overhead and people running about doing their things and their jobs today. But to come here to TR Island as a place of quiet within a relatively busy city, in a place I know Teddy would have appreciated, because it's one of the really the
ultimate outdoorsman.
Forefront of reserving cherished land for generations to enjoy. So yeah, huge fan of TR, and I think he may have spent a day or two in the Navy one.
Well, I will leave you with this. Teddy Roosevelt, like Franklin Roosevelt, served as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. And it's a job I had too, which tells you just how far the bar has come down. But there's a legendary story that told that back then, Washington used to heat up, so pre-air conditioning, heat up in the summer, that the leadership would take off. And one such summer, Assistant Secretary Roosevelt was essentially in charge of the War Department, declared war in Cuba, mobilized himself, led the charge famously up the hill, and presented himself with the Medal of Honor. So I always told my wife that was my plan for this coming summer when I was in the job.
That's a good summer plan.
That's not a bad summer. Court, grateful for the leadership.
Thank you, sir.
For taking time for this. Reach out for Court Van Zandt. He's our champion for reservists and Guard members. He enables us to help honor the Deloitte commitment for our folks still serving. Thanks. Enjoy the issue. Fly Navy.
Go Army.
All right, man.